Hello everybody, happy Sunday and happy Easter. Last week I asked you all to send me questions and video ideas for my future videos and you all did that. Let's get on with the video. So the first question is, who's your favourite Beatle? Also, I would love to see some Beatle conspiracy theory videos, and that's from Katie Horsley. Beatles conspiracy theory videos, that is a brilliant idea. I'm pretty sure there's previous videos on conspiracies, but we will have to make a newer version of them. My favourite Beatle, it's mostly Paul, but if it's a birthday month, it will go to that specific Beatle. This one is from Shelby. Hi. Okay, who's the Walrus? Also, whose solo career do you most enjoy listening to? I think the Walrus was originally John and it always will be John. Not in a physical sense, because we all know Paul was in the costume, but in a literary sense, as he's the one who wrote it. He is the Walrus. And for solo careers, the ones I most enjoy listening to are Paul and George. Paul, because you can't really avoid his music, it's everywhere. And George, because George's music just touches people and it's underrated and it just needs to be spread. The next one is from our Wednesday Submariner Amanda. How did you get into the Beatles? Okay, how I got into the Beatles were two things. Like I said in my previous video, I have known the Beatles for my whole life, and technically I only knew 2 of the 4 until I really got into them, and I got into them around year 9 or year 8 or year 9 of high school. So I've always had a favourite CD, and it's this one. I know it doesn't have a front cover, but it's a best of 60s mega mix. This CD has always been my favourite, and I always played it for one song, and that song is Unchained Melody. Now, you're thinking, how does this have to do with the Beatles? But the thing is, Unchained Melody and another song, Hey Baby, are not done by their original artists. They are actually done by the Quarrymen. And when I got into the Beatles and I thought, oh, so they were originally the Quarrymen, I thought, I know that name and I can't place where I know the Quarrymen from. And once Dad said, oh, go pick a CD, I thought to myself, I want to put on that 60s CD. And I picked it up and I've looked at the back as I'm walking to the CD player. And I looked down at Unchained Melody and it says Quarrymen. I put 2 and 2 together and I thought, I had 2 songs from the Quarrymen before they became the Beatles, before they came big. This has to be rare in some way. And in Unchained Melody, I'm pretty sure it's Stu singing, but you can hear John. John has such a distinctive voice, and you can hear it. And every time I listen to this CD now, I always can distinguish the voices. That's one part of it, and the other part that got me into the Beatles was this little Beatles cassette. And it's more early Beatles, but I remember listening to this a lot when I was quite little. The next question is from Chloe the Beatle Maniac. Hi Cheyenne, I have some questions. Do you have a preference between early or late Beatles? What's your favourite Beatles album and do you play any instruments? So I'm going to have to answer the second question to answer the first question. I know that doesn't really make sense, but you'll see why. So my favourite Beatles album is Rubber Soul. So the preference between early and late Beatles I have is kind of where they cross over. Because Rubber Soul is right in the middle of their career, it's kind of half early and just getting into the psychedelic stuff. So that's kind of, I'm in the middle of that. So I like both. And I do play instruments. I play a little bit of ukulele, a little bit of piano, and I'm starting to learn the guitar. This one is from Beatles Lover 07. Who has your favourite solo career and what are your favourite songs from that artist? Also show us your Beatle merch. I will do a video next week of my Beatles collection so you guys can see that. So I already touched on solo careers earlier and they are George and Paul, so I'll just do songs from them. For George, it's songs like Got My Mind Set on You, What Is Life, My Sweet Lord, Cracker Box Palace, Blow Away, and this song. And for Paul, it's Big Barn Bed, Bluebird, Coming Up, New, My Valentine, Silly Love Songs. So yeah. Our next question is from Abby Watson, and she says, who's your favourite Beatles girl? Also, you have great music taste. Thank you. My favourite Beatles girl is definitely Linda. Linda has, I think ever since I got into the Beatles, Linda has always been my favourite Beatles girl, and I don't think that's ever going to change. And our last question is from Hudson Ranny's Vinyl. I hope I said that right. That was like a tongue twister. Least favourite Beatles song. I like all the Beatles songs, but if I had to pick a least favourite, it would be Wild Honey Pie. Wild Honey Pie itself is a great song, but Wild Honey Pie, I just don't lean towards it. I don't hate it, but it wouldn't be the first song that I'd put on the Beatles for. I bet everybody was thinking I was going to say Revolution 9, but it's Wild Honey Pie. So that was the last question, but while I was reading through the comments, 2 comments stood out, and they just kind of figure out how great the Beatles are and how they connect people from all around the world, different ages, different genders, different ethnicities together. The first comment that really stood out was from Samuel Dooley, and he said, you're right, popular music today is basically dead, and it was so exciting and alive in the 1960s, when I was a boy about your age. It is sad. You could also see it coming. At least we still have all that great music from the past to enjoy now. Welcome. Well, I thank you for welcoming me in, and the amount of relation to this comment that many people have is unbelievable. And that's why the Beatles and this channel is good. Everybody can relate. And the second comment that really stood out was from Ghostly Dragons PTA, and they said, oh my god, I've never met anyone who also likes music from the 20s to the 80s. I'm very excited for your future videos. Well, I'm glad you're excited, and I'm excited to make them. And it is very rare to meet someone who likes music from such a wide span of years. So that's very rare and very nice to find someone with the same interests. Make sure to like this video, hit that big red subscribe button if you're new, and please comment down below. You can find the Beatles Submarine on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. And you can follow my personal Instagram at Shabby787. I will put it down in the description if it lets me. Last week YouTube was being quite annoying and it wouldn't let me put in a title or a description, so hopefully it will let me do that this week. I'll see you all next Sunday. I hope you guys have a good week. Cheyenne out.